Welcome to another episode of the Showcase Podcast, the spin-off of the regular podcast feed. Today, I have James Nguyen, who does Alpha Red. Before we get onto that, James, you're a first-time guest. I always start with the same question. What's your origin story and what got you to be into comics as a lifelong fan?
Yeah, I love the questions that you sent me. It's perfect to just reliving those first moments when my buddy calls me over and says, "Hey, I just picked up a bunch of comics from the flea market. You want to check them out?" And he's got like Batman Year One. He's got all these comics. And that was about 12 or 13 for me. And we just poured over these comics that he had. And so that was my first introduction to comics. And then shortly thereafter, I found Todd McFarlane on Spider-Man. And it really got me to collect comics. I was going to the newsstands and really seeking out Todd McFarlane and Spider-Man. And while I was waiting for the new issue of Spider-Man, I came across Jim Lee's X-Men, and then it snowballed from there. And I became a collector, combined it with my love for artwork and drawing. And I always thought I was going to be a fine artist, doing portraits, doing landscapes. Comics was where it was at. And it was an exciting time in comic books. So it felt like a good aspiration to pursue a career in comic books. But that never happened.
Did you always want to work in comic books?
Once I discovered Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, all the Image guys, definitely wanted to be doing comic books for a living. But that's never materialized. But now that we have the indie scene and crowdfunders and things like that, it really enables me to fulfill lifetime dreams of creating comic books and telling stories and sharing my artwork.
Why are you more of a Marvel fan than a DC fan?
That's just where Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee were, to be honest. And so when I discovered Spider-Man, he became my favorite character. And then Jim Lee became my favorite artist. Automatically, I loved everything X-Men, everything that Jim Lee did. And then it just never translated to when they left Image. I liked all their Image stuff. And then Jim Lee came over to DC, and I loved his Batman stuff. But when he wasn't drawing Batman, I just stopped collecting. It wasn't until Greg Capullo then came on, and there was so much buzz about it that I picked up all that Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo stuff and really fell in love with Batman as a character.
We're here to talk about Alpha Red. What is Alpha Red all about, and what type of fan would enjoy reading it outside of a Marvel fan?
Yeah, so it really helps if you're a Marvel superhero fan, because I describe Alpha Red as Peter Parker as Captain America on a James Bond adventure. Our hero, his name is Wes. He is your friendly neighborhood handyman, and he gets chosen for an experiment, gets a chip implanted into his brain that makes him super strong, super fast, and super smart. They give him gadgets like his super suit. They give him a super fast car that transforms into a robot, and he has to stop Omega Black from taking over the world. Omega Black is a transforming robot tank piloted by Satan. He has to save the world from Satan, who drives around in a transforming robot tank.
So it's also a faith-based series. What does it mean to you as a creator, and what type of misconceptions might fans have reading it?
Yeah. So it does have faith-based elements. It's story first, hero first. He has to go through a hero's journey where he's learning how to be a superhero, and he's a fun guy. He gets thrown into a big adventure that he's not equipped to handle. And then by the end, he has to wrestle with his faith to be the hero that he needs to be. And you might think that it's going to be like super preachy, and I don't feel that it's over preachy. It does have some Bible verses that he leans on towards the end to get him through, but I don't know. It's how I live my life. So I don't think I'm super preachy. I think I interact well with people, treat people nice, try to be helpful, try to be genuine. And that's what this hero is. And then he just happens to go on these super huge adventures that save the world and things.
So what are some of the supporting characters involved? I know you mentioned Satan and Omega Black. Does he have a girlfriend?
So I'm trying to introduce those things. So Alpha Red started in 2011, 2012-ish. So it's taken me a long time to get through the origin of the character. That was the first 5 issues was the origin. It took me about 10 years to put that all together. But I have since sped up my creation of the comic. So it's moving faster. And so I want to add things like girlfriends and things. And so there is a girl in there that he's interested, she's interested in him, but we'll see where that lands in the future. It's not a big story point, but she's in there. And then in this current issue, I introduce a villain, and you never know where that goes because she's supposed to be like a Catwoman-ish character.
So you're on this platform called Fund My Comic.
So the difference between Fund My Comic and Kickstarter, I've always just done Kickstarter. And then with issue number 6 in October, I did issue number 6 in October, and now I'm doing issue number 7. With number 6, I went away from just doing Kickstarter, and I tried Fund My Comic and Indiegogo at the same time as Kickstarter. So Kickstarter was still the best, but the Fund My Comic experience was really cool because they take out less money and they give you the money right away. So the platform fee is right now 1%. It was 3% last year, and then it went down to 2%, and now it's at 1%, where Kickstarter is at 5%. So 5% of what your backers are giving you on Kickstarter goes to Kickstarter. And you have to wait until 2 weeks after the campaign is over before they give it to you. So with Fund My Comic, 2 days after they pledge, I get the money in my bank account.
So what makes this campaign unique?
Really, there's no other difference other than the Kickstarter experience. You pick the main tier, and then any kind of extras are on the add-on side, where this doesn't have an add-on feature. This is just straight up backer reward. You got to add all those goodies in there if you want it. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you have a lot more tiers. So you kind of have to go through and say, hey, if you want to add this thing, it becomes a whole nother tier instead of you go behind the first backer wall and get the add-on.
So how many campaigns have you done so far?
So this will be my 7th or 8th, and they've all been successful, and they've all been fulfilled.
What makes a successful campaign? What would you give advice to people that are thinking of doing their own campaigns?
I am pretty lucky that I don't do this for a living. So this is my hobby that I have to make sustain itself. So I don't put anything out until it's ready to go. Like I don't start a campaign until all my artwork is done, all my page breakdowns are done. And if I need help, which has been typically the coloring and the lettering, I need help with those things. This time I actually brought on an inker to speed things up because I'd like to get more issues of Alpha Red done. So I brought on an inker. But as soon as I got done with the pencils is when I started the campaign. It's just waiting on those people to finish up with their part, and then I can get it out. And there's no guesswork of whether or not you're going to get a final product. It will come out whether or not I hit the goal.
Do you have other things besides Alpha Red that you'd like to get to one day?
So he has a supporting character called Wingman that is prominently featured in this one. He was prominently featured in the last one as well. And he's just an old character that didn't work out that I repurposed and brought into the Alpha Red universe. And so I'm having fun with him. I'd love to be able to go back, remaster those old issues and bring him into the Alpha Red universe proper. But if Marvel comes calling for a Spider-Man artist or an X-Men artist, I think I'd jump at an opportunity. Batman too, Ninja Turtles. I've got some dream characters that I'd love to draw before I hang up the pencil.
So what comics that you're reading right now that fans aren't and should be checking out?
So I typically only read things that I hear good buzz about. But so that would be your Absolute Batman. That's buzzing. The Energon universe stuff from Skybound is really good. But the sleeper for me was The Moon is Following Us by Daniel Warren Johnson, who does Transformers. He has this book that I guess it was like a maxi series because I didn't realize it was going to be ending soon. And I think the next issue is the last issue. Issue number 10 is going to be the last issue. And it's definitely a departure from the superhero comics that I typically pick up. But it's something that I can share with my son and my daughter. And it's really fun. It's really imaginative.
I have heard of it and I've never read it. So where do you see yourself as a creator in 5 years? What would you like to be?
Oh, 5 years. I'm hopefully on Alpha Red number 25 or 30, somewhere in there. That'd be the dream.
All right, James, you get the final word. Make your pitch.
I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to introduce people to Alpha Red. And if you would like to maybe check out the campaign, alpharedcomic.com takes you to the fund. But yeah, I'd really love for everybody to try out Alpha Red by going to alpharedcomic.com, supporting Alpha Red #7.
James Nguyen from Alpha Red, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much.